Hey everybody, welcome to the Portsmouth Basketball Podcast. This is part 2 of an interview series. If you haven't heard part 1 yet, go back and check it out. But for those of you who are here at the right time, thank you so much for listening. Let's get into it. That is that pre, if I remember rightly, them changing the defensive rules about hand in the face and stuff like that? Didn't they check? Because they changed it all a little bit after that, didn't they? That's why the defense now is so much different. Pretty much everyone's man on man now, aren't they? Like you can't do, a 2-1-2 or a box and one or stuff. Like you can't do that anymore, can you, in the NBA?
Oh, they were definitely playing man to man on McGrady.
Yes,
and they were double teaming.
Lee, I was going to say they were doubling him up because they knew what he was going to do.
And you know what? There's another clip on YouTube. You'll see it out there where there's these fans. They're leaving the game, going, they're in a bar or whatever. Yeah, we lost. Spurs beat us, and then the next people come out and go, "What are you talking about? McGrady just hit 13 shots. We won. You just missed the greatest ending to an NBA game ever."
13 points in 33 seconds. It was.
Is that what it was? 13 points in
33 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be up there with all-time NBA plays, really, isn't it?
And that's 33 seconds, both teams, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember when I scored 13 points, like in a game. I don't know, 13 seconds.
Wow.
33 games, yeah. 13 points in 33 games will be happy with.
That's like the end of the season. You're like, 13 points, fantastic. I got on the sheet. And not on the foul sheet. I got on the actual score sheet. That's impressive. I only got like 4 T's and God knows how many team fouls, but yeah. That 13 points, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's an amazing clip.
Who was the best 3-pointer shooter that the Fury's ever had?
I mean, we've had some people who can definitely hit threes. I mean, Rokas, would be up there. There's a guy called Antonio from Italy. He's fairly recent. He was pretty good.
Dan Goldman.
Dan Goldman. I mean,
German Dan.
German Dan,
yeah.
Andrew, you got to put in there. He's probably hit more. I would say Andrew's probably the highest 3-point scorer for the Fury.
Yeah.
McAvoy would be close second. I mean, the only reason Andrew's probably first is because he carried on playing and Mac stopped.
Games played. Where are you at, Steve? On your 3-pointers? I always associate you with 3 points. The long shot.
Yeah, I like a 3-point shot.
You like it when I'm betting against like doing a shot of rum, and you're like, if I get this shot in, I'm going to do a shot of rum.
Oh,
you always liked hitting them.
Well, I had to.
But
it was life or death.
But with Steve, when he shot a 3, there was a good chance it went in, but he didn't shoot 3s often.
No.
I mean, with Steve, I'm going to make his head get a bit bigger, but with Steve, he was really one of those players, I'd say rare players, who was just a safe pair of hands who brought the ball up and you just went, that ball is getting up the court no matter who's marking him.
Yep.
And then the play would go from there. The one also thing that I think Steve doesn't get credit for is his defense. He was probably the strongest defensive player in the team, I'd say, and you'd get to the point where it really irritate the opposition. I mean, even to the point where if there was an exceptionally good player, it'd be like, right, put Steve on him.
Yeah, I remember getting subbed in and I had to take your player because he'd subbed out for a bit. Don't know why. I think they were just giving everyone a run. And like we were talking earlier, it was like, the third quarter or something like that. Or coming in, had a bit of a cushion and I got let on. And I had some reason I had to take your man. I couldn't keep up with him at all. And when you were on the court, you were running rings around him. So, I mean,
Steve's very fit as well.
Yeah.
He's one of the fittest in the team, isn't he?
Yes.
Well, that was, to be fair, that was one of the things that I thought, that's something you can do something about, right?
Yeah.
You may not be the most talented player. You may not be the naturally most gifted player, but you can be fitter. And especially when you're playing non-pro, if you're playing local leagues, there's going to be people that can be better than you but less fit than you. And if you can, I'd always do that as a defensive player. If I was defending somebody who was good, especially a good dribbler, I'd pick him up before he even had the ball. I'd do him full court straight away because I'd have the speed to, if he turned and went, I'd have the speed to keep up with him.
Yeah.
But I thought I've got to pick this guy up because I never wanted somebody running at me with the ball, and I'm kind of backing away and trying to. That's hard. To keep with someone then is hard. So I wanted to be on them before they even got the ball, denying on the ball. And if they did get the ball, at least you're right there and you can just be annoying and be in their face.
And I've just thought of arguably one of your best ever moments for the Portsmouth Fury. It was a fast break, and there was a guy defending you.
Remember that?
And you faked left, so you're on the right side of the basket. You faked left. This guy buys it so badly that he just falls backwards on the floor in this heap, and then he just went and did a layup and just ran back. I mean, it's difficult to build that picture, but
he was he was quite sort of top heavy, should we say?
Yeah.
Maybe enjoyed a beer every now and then. And I think I just got him off balance, and he just kind of
went down.
Yeah.
But just going back to something you said, I actually think when we went out, when we should have won that final, I actually think it's really hard local league, and it's a testament to the strength of the leagues that we've had in Sabah throughout the years, that it's actually genuinely really hard to win the league and the cup in the same year. It's extremely hard. Teams do it, but we've won the league and the cup individually, but I think over a 34-year period, the Fury have only done the double twice.
Twice
They've only done the double.
Yeah, not easy.
No, that's not easy.
And especially with the cup, the pressure comes with it, because you're like, right, this is the last game. It's not just the last game. You got Andrew in your ear saying, "We got to do the double." Like, it's that added pressure.
Yeah.
What was the favourite? I want to say the division of the fate, because even in local league, obviously there's divisions going up and down.
Yeah.
Did you prefer playing on one level than another?
Depends what team we had. Because sometimes we were Div 2, strong Div 2. We'd win it and we'd go up. And the challenge with any team is keeping your team together, isn't it?
Yeah.
You'd have guys coming down from uni. You'd have guys moving to the area that moved away. You'd have foreign players that would come in and then they'd go working here for a season or two, and then they go back to wherever they lived. So a few times we would win our league convincingly, go up
and we were a Div 1 team, really.
Yeah.
We should have been a Div 1 that year.
Yeah, but then if we'd lost enough players, we'd struggle in Div 1 and we come back down.
And we got to say it as well. Mick was always a challenge, because he would go for our best players. So we would have a extremely strong Div 1 team. We can win the league, till all of a sudden we've just lost our 3 best players because they've said they'd play for Mick, and you can only play for one team. And okay, we're not a contender anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, certainly, if you had someone for one season, thinking of like Mr. Ong, for example, came and played for Fury, but went and played with Mick as well.
Yeah, and he was an exceptional national league. Ended up as an exceptional national league
fantastic player. But it very much Mick used that as a breeding ground. So what you doing, how you doing.
You know what? I just remember one of my favourite Fury games. We were a Div 1. This is when we were in Div 1, and we had 5 players. I don't know who we played. We had 5 players. We were bottom of the league, and for a laugh, we just went, no one is allowed to score until Tim Arnold has scored. Remember that?
Tim Arnold.
Can you remember that? So Tim is a guard, small. We call him the mouse. We went, we're not going to score.
Hit some big threes
until he scores. When we were like 20 points down, I'm like, screw this. I'm scoring. I've got an open layup. I'm not passing to Tim anymore. But the thing I remember about that game was at half time, we're losing by 50 something.
Really?
And then I don't know what happened in the second half. We just went on this little run, and we tied the game. We're down by 50 and we tied the game.
Blimey.
We didn't win the game, but we tied the game.
Tally?
We tied the game. I think Lawrence Rowe was playing for us in those days as well.
Could have been.
That was get the ball, Lawrence. He's open for a free. Boom, done.
So I got a question for you. What was your favourite kit, Steve? Because the Furies had quite a few kits.
Yeah.
I mean, the Fury
We're going to
colours,
we're going to
what are the
we're going
Fury
to two.
colours? They're
Yeah, I'm
like-
going to split that. We're going to say what's the favourite colour of the kit, and what was the favourite kit itself. Because we've had lots of different shape kits.
Some of them have been nasty.
I was thinking, yeah, so the black kit, then the white kit. Then
They were the originals.
Then the blue kit.
It was like a purpley kit, wasn't it? It's supposed to be Carolina blue. Is that right?
Hashtag club approach.
I'm sure
Club
Andrew said.
approach, yeah, it's
Andrew
sponsored
said
by
it's
the Greats
supposed
Club
to
in
be
Southsea.
Carolina blue.
It was more like royal blue, wasn't it? It was the
Yeah, it's a deeper blue.
the
yeah.
deeper blue.
It was almost like
I remember
it's
that
really
one.
hard material, wasn't it?
The spacing they got on my surname, and it had, instead of saying Williams, there was a gap between the second I and the A, so it just said Willie Ams, and there was like the spacing.
That's
on
not
it, and you
deliberate,
go,
is it?
Wow.
they're just making fun of me now, aren't
Will
they?
I Am. That was the birth of Will I Am.
Oh yes,
Wow.
they often
You were Will I Am
people
before
often
Will
look
I
at
Am
me and
was.
say, "Is Will I Am in Portsmouth? What's
Maybe
he
there
doing?"
was a picture and he saw that and went, "Good idea."
Good idea.
He must.
Split my name out.
It
But I
was
can remember
definitely-
some of those kits, you couldn't even get them off.
the blue one was scratchy.
It was like wearing a bloody straitjacket. You come to pull it off and it's like, oh. So the best, I think the best kit we ever had
You had that white Nike kit.
was a Nike one.
That as Andrew went and bought a whole Nike kit,
Yeah.
get it printed.
I
Yeah,
li-
that was
that was a
comfy.
I
nice one.
liked the black one.
It was a Nike kit as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was
Yeah,
the black
that's
one.
right.
Had the black shorts, and it was the black. It had the silver, the red.
Yeah, yeah.
That one.
There was another kit that I went to get.
That one afterwards went to orange. It was your orange
No,
kit.
that is exactly what I was going to say. It's not orange. So again, I went to buy a kit from Rising Ballers when E-Man was around, and I said Chicago Bulls red. We want Chicago Bulls red, and if that's a nice kit, we're going for
Like-
Carolina blue. And it turned up, and I was like, that does not look like Chicago Bulls red.
You've
That looks
been
like orange.
tangled.
And it really used to irritate me. On the score book, we'd write Fury, red, other team, whatever. And the refs will always, usually at the start of a game, go maybe Fury that way or whatever that way. But sometimes they'll say the colour, and the ref always goes, orange is that way. I'm like, ref, it's red. Chicago Bulls red. And he's like, all right.
I mean, I don't want to not throw you under a bus here, but maybe a little known fact about you is you are in fact a bit colourblind.
Well, I'm totally colourblind, and even to me, it wasn't red.
No, well, I didn't tell them a colour. I said Chicago Bulls red. That was the
I know,
The-
but you
the-
had no way of checking it.
no.
Maybe there's a local team in China called the Chicago Bulls that play in orange.
Well, there's got to be something. But I
it-
didn't get the Carolina blue kit in the
I mean,
end.
I know Andy liked it because Orlando have an orange bit, and they actually have an orange kit a few seasons ago, I think, as well. But yeah, I mean,
There's another orange kit we've got that's actually in my loft. So when E-Man with the Rising Ballers, he's gone and lived out in Norway, and he was getting rid of. He had this huge barbecue, getting rid of all this stuff, and there was a bag there full of a kit, an orange kit with a white stripe down the side, like orange in like an orange, or like what you would eat colour.
like that ball over there.
Like a basketball, yeah. So I said to him, you selling a whole kit? And he goes, yeah, the only thing wrong with it, this is his words, the only thing wrong with it is there is one kit that doesn't have a pair of shorts. So there's 12 tops, 11 shorts.
No problem.
And I was like, no problem at all. So I bought the kit for £50. Next time the Fury had a game, it was like, okay, let's put this kit on. Do you know the kit I'm talking about?
I think so.
So, for the listeners out there, the color of the size of the smallest kit is like extra large.
Oh yeah.
So it's just
Swimming
absolutely
in it.
huge kit, isn't it?
Mm.
So it's one that's coming way below your knees.
Beautiful.
You know, it's
It's
just
basically for people Shaq size and bigger.
yeah. It's still in the loft, and if ever get to a point, I always say to Andrew, he goes, "Oh, we're struggling for kits." I'm like, "Got the orange kit, Andrew. We can always wear that. No
See-
problems."
See, I liked the black one as well because it was like thin. Because the blue one before had the wide sleeves,
Yeah.
and it kind of
Restrictive.
it looked like a wife beater. It sort of came out here somewhere, like you had shoulder pads going on, and then again, a bit scratchy.
You know why? Because those early kits were made. You couldn't buy basketball kits in those days, so they were made by a guy in North End who used to make the kits for American football.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's why the material.
That's why the material is so rough.
That's why. Yeah, because that makes sense now. Because it was exactly the same as the
Yeah.
Airtex kind of.
Yeah, so it's really durable.
Never
You
knew
can
that.
pull it. You can't stretch it. Like you can't do anything
No.
with it. It's just rigid. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll do your kit, guys. Yeah,
Was that the blue one or the white one before it as well?
both, I think.
Yeah, because I remember the white one had those stipples.
Yeah,
Remember Dave Henderson nicked my vest to play a game.
did he?
Yeah, never got it back.
Wow.
I've got the shorts. I can't find the vest. And I remember he borrowed it.
Those original Fury kits, I don't think they're something you wear out now. Maybe the white one and the black one, but all the ones before that, those like mesh tops were just.
I mean, I wore it out. I'm not saying it was a good look, but I did wear it. I mean, yeah, it says a lot if you're walking around in a basketball vest. It's got to be bold these days.
I'm sure. What was his name? Matt Gloyn. Do you remember Matt Gloyn?
Yeah.
He was walking down the beach one day in the summer, and there's a kid with his Fury jersey on. And he went up to him and said, "Where'd you get that?" And the guy's like, "Oh, I just found it in the gym or something." And he said, "That's my top. That's literally my jersey." And I think the kid did give it back to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if he took it off after a game and just left it at PGS and
Wow.
or maybe at
Probably
Fratton
no
or somewhere,
Matt
and
Gloyn.
and someone just picked it up. But yeah, he was like, "Kid walked past me on the seafront with my jersey on today."
Yeah. You
He
know
was
what?
a springy guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, spring.
He was quite an explosive player, wasn't he? There's quite a few examples where you see pictures of people and you think, hang on, they got a bloody Fury top on, and they're in like Hong Kong. And you're like, who is that guy with a Fury top on? Or, I mean, we should keep track of where we see these Fury tops. I do think there is a team in the States as well who have blatantly like stolen the logo.
Really?
The one we're using now. Yeah, 100%. And they've got
Call 'em
men and women's teams, and they're literally copied the way we've got our logo, the way it is now. So it
You'll
could
be hearing
be
from our
one of
lawyers then, yeah?
if we've got lawyers, yeah.
Men
We've
and
got
women.
lawyers.
Well, yeah, but Fury doesn't have a men and women's team.
Well, they've got this Fury team. I mean, look it up online, you'll see it.
Kestrels do, don't they?
Every bloody week he
Every
brings
week.
the Kestrels up.
Just to see your face drop with anger.
I just wish the Fury beat them. We never got over that hurdle, did we?
Nah, good team, weren't they?
I mean, this is when the Teasdales. That's the one we went up against when the Teasdale brothers were the Solent Kestrels. I remember once it felt like we got over that hurdle once, and I think we were up by 1 point, and there was like 10 seconds left, and we had the ball, and I had a mismatch. The guy marking me shouldn't have been marking me, and Andrew called a timeout and said, pull the ball, keep it down low, have the last shot, game over. And then Lawrence inbounded the ball, gave it to Craig Dawson. Craig Dawson shot free throw, ran by the free throw line, just put it up straight away, jump shot, missed. They got the ball, went down the end, scored.
Damn.
Game. That was the closest we got.
You're not bitter.
Yeah, I am. It's just, you know.
But when Craig listens to this, he can.
Was that?
He'll
was,
come on here, we'll talk
apologise.
about him.
Were they were they the number one? I won't say the antagonist for the Fury, but there wasn't a direct, because the one thing about the Fury is that it's been going for so long. Like you said, you'd be really proud of that. But there's been lots of teams that have come and gone in that period of time, and obviously the links move and you've gone up and down, etc. How many people are still playing that were in those?
I know Fury is the oldest team easily.
Yeah.
Easily. We entered the league, the Saba League, and then it was the following year Mick brought the Smugglers in.
Yep.
and obviously the Smugglers gone back and forth from the Navy. But other than that, you know, Bournemouth Bears, they were in it for like 20 odd years. They've left the league now. So Fury, by far, are the oldest team in Solent League, easily.
Thanks to Andrew.
Yeah. And I think you always need that one person in the club, like Mick Byrne, like Andrew.
Yeah, you do.
Or Jimmy Guyman. You know, who's that? Rob milner, that unsung hero who's doing all that work. And
who often puts their own money in to keep it going. You know, who's arranges the courts and the refs and the...
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because I remember one season Mick telling me and going through the finances of how much he pays for the thing, and he was like, look, this guy hasn't paid me, because the players had to pay, and like 10 years ago we had to pay Mick like, it wasn't much, it was like £50 a month. It was pretty it was pretty reasonable, but some players wouldn't do it, and then Mick was coming out like, a ref is £80 sometimes, you got 2 refs, then you court fees, well, you got to pay for that court for what, 3 hours, maybe 4 hours to make sure you've got it. If you've got fans coming to watch you play, you got a crowd, right, you got to buy a double court, because you got to put the bleachers down one side. So, you know, a home game can cost a lot of money. Definitely, you know, those last couple of things, I remember Mick telling me, it's like, you know, that's some of the stuff, unsung things that, you know, he did just out of his own pocket.
Oh, people don't think about it. As a player, you don't think about it. As a player, you're so focused on yourself that you turn up, and if you don't, you know, if the coach don't play you, you just sit there sulking.
Yeah.
And walk off, and you don't think, what did it take to put this? What did it take to even put this game on?
Yeah.
And who's doing that? Who's doing that every week? And you only think that when you do it, right? It's like anything in life. Like, unless you've actually done it yourself.
And all of the games that get rescheduled, because there's always at least 1 or 2 games that get rescheduled.
Yeah.
And going back in the day, you had to go and find the refs, so you had to phone around and get referees. You know, I think Andrew does without Andrew, there is no Portsmouth Fury.
It would have fizzled out.
He put so much effort into it. So I think it's a testament to him that it's going into its 34th year.
Yeah. I think it would have stopped about 10 years ago. Pre-COVID, probably a few years pre-COVID, I think it might have died without him.
Yeah. I mean, the Fury are now going into local league Div 1, and we're getting some fairly decent players. Hopefully we're going to get some of the university players, and if we do, you know, maybe we'll give handball, they're the main team at the moment, give handball, see if we can give them a run, and let's see what happens.
It's nice. I mean, you can see it go in waves over the years, can't you?
Yeah.
You get a great team, and then you struggle for players, and people move away, and this and that. And I can remember really at a certain point really struggling to even get a team out. And I remember ringing Andy and saying, "Is this it? We haven't got enough players. You know, people have moved away, and blah blah." And there's a guy called Jason Wong. Don't know if you remember him.
Oh yeah, Jason. Yeah.
And Andy and I laughed and said he saved the Fury at a certain point. Remember there's that famous story about Alex Ferguson. Is it Mark Robbins scores a goal or something? Do you remember I think Fergie was probably going to lose his job, and as one of the players, he'd been managing Man United for a little while, not that long, and the results weren't great, and then I think Mark Robbins or someone, I can't remember the player's name, scores a goal, and I think they win the game. And years later Fergie said, I'm pretty sure if we had lost that game, I would have been sacked as manager of Man United.
He saved him.
And he's like, they went on to be probably the greatest English manager in England of all time. And we laugh and say that about Jason, because I remember at a certain point we couldn't field a team even, and then Jason suddenly turned up out of nowhere. We're like, mate, can you play tomorrow? He's like, yeah. I'm like, cool, you're in.
Yeah, no, I remember those days actually. Yeah, Jason playing.
And now, I mean, how many people at practice now?
Oh, we've had like 26 turn up.
Yeah, loads. So it's really flourishing at the moment.
Yeah, so I think, let's see what happens moving forward. But yeah, it's looking optimistic. And I think if Fury can ride that wave that's coming with the Portsmouth Force as well, that will be quite beneficial.
So that was going to be my question. when you mentioned with Mick being looking at some of the Fury players over the years and borrowing some and coercing some across. Do you think the Force will do the same with the Fury?
I don't think it makes a difference because they're National League, we're local league, so it would only come to a clash if there was a stance from National League where they say we don't want you playing local league basketball. So as long as they were happy with that, we're fine. But I think that's a good little overview of the Fury, isn't it? One thing I did want to ask Steve. Yeah, fingers crossed. But
I think it will all the time. Andy's keeping it going. It's going to go.
Yeah, and at some point we'll, I guess, need a young guy to take over. Maybe Morgan Brown. He's the up and coming player, isn't he? But one thing, what we've got Steve on here, Mark, that I just wanted to ask him. Steve will go into more detail, but for those of you who don't know Steve, go to steveware.com.
Steveware Mindfulness.
Steveware Mindful, just not got.com. So Steve, I'll let him tell the story, but Steve is doing a lot about mindfulness at the moment, and just want to kind of focus on that for a little bit, because when you talk about mindfulness and basketball, they can really go together.
They can. I'm one of the guys I looked up when I first looked into because my mindfulness story really quickly. I had no desire to practice mindfulness. I didn't even know what mindfulness is. Meditation sounded really crap and boring, and but when I was going through a period of sort of high stress at work and my sleep got bad and anxiety was high and everything else, I needed something to kind of help me relax and sleep again and feel all right again. And I remember someone at work saying to me, "Why don't you try mindfulness? I've seen something about it. It's like, the science is unbelievable." And I said, "I'm not trying that crap. That's for weirdos." But I downloaded an app and I tried it just kind of secretly on my own, and it was, life-changing. It helped me to sleep better, helped me to feel less anxious, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, long story short, I ended up leaving. When I lost my job at IBM, I set up my own company to teach people what I'd learned, ways of reducing stress, ways of optimizing your well-being, ways of quietening your mind. And that spans everything, right? That's not just about in work. That's about at home. That's about on a basketball court. And I think I saw LeBron James, he's partnered with a company called Calm, I think. So there's loads of different apps you can get on your phone, right? If anyone listens to this thinks I'm stressed out, I'm a bad sleeper, I'm anxious a lot of the time, there's loads of apps, there's loads of guided meditations and stuff you can listen to. Headspace is a really famous one. One of the other ones is called Calm, and I think they've got a whole LeBron James series on there where he actually talks about this and says how he uses mindfulness in games. But it goes back way earlier than LeBron. So there's a guy called George Mumford who's written a book on it. And he was the guy they brought in to work with Phil Jackson, the Bulls, the Lakers, people like Jordan, Shaq. And one of the funny stories they said, so they were looking, I think even back then, so this is the 90s, they were looking at ways, every way they could to optimize the performance of athletes, right? Because in the NBA, marginal gains is everything. Yeah. You can improve a player by 0.5%. We're doing it. And so they started looking at the mental side of things, and they were like, how can we keep people calm under pressure? How can we keep people in the flow state, they call it? So a state in sport which is highly desirable is called flow. And flow is when you're on the court and you're performing at a very high level and you're not thinking about a single thing. So your thinking mind is completely still. Anyone can relate to this. Anyone who's been through a tough time in their life. And if they can never say to somebody, I feel awful, or I'm having a really tough time, or my missus broke up with me, or whatever, but you know what? When I go to basketball practice, I feel okay.
Yeah, you do.
For that hour, right? When you're running up and down the court, you feel okay.
You switch off, don't you?
Right. Why? Because your thinking mind's inactive. You can extend that to any sport. Why is Paul Gascoigne completely at peace when he was playing football? Why was Paul Merson fine when he was playing? Tony Adams, all these players that have very troubled off the pitch, taking drugs and drink and everything else. When they're performing and when they're playing their sport, their mind is very still because they instinctively know that to perform at a high level, their mind has to be still. if you start thinking on a basketball court, the ball's gone. If you start worrying about your problems on a basketball court, the ball's gone. So the Americans knew this in the 90s. It's not secret at all. So but one of the leading guys in America on mindfulness back then was a white guy in Boston, a guy called John Kabat-Zinn, brilliant meditation teacher. But they basically said, and John tells a story, he says, well, they wanted to bring me into the NBA. Well, I was saying to him, look, the guys aren't going to be able to relate to me. I'm a white guy with a pretty privileged background. Wasn't rich or anything, but it's very middle class, Boston. He's like, I don't think I'm going to be able to talk the language of these guys. They need someone they can relate to that can speak their language. And they found this guy, George Mumford, who grew up in the hood, who had a really tough upbringing, suffered loads, who could go in and say to them, look, guys, I've lived in the same area as you have. I know how it feels. But guess what? This really helps me. This really, really helps me. If you're open to it, I'll show you. And yeah, a lot of success. I mean, Phil Jackson was really on board with it. Phil Jackson thought that would really give them an edge. And it really is for the critical moments in games where you need players to have that extra peak performance, where they have to have a mind that is optimal for that situation. And you'll see LeBron doing it, right? There'll be plenty of clips of LeBron sitting on a bench or before he's going to do a free throw, and he'll close his eyes and just kind of breathe in. And you see he's just still in his mind because he knows this is a big moment. And he knows that his mind needs to be quiet if he's going to perform really well. So I find all that stuff fascinating because this, mindfulness, people think of mindfulness as for Buddhists, it's for weirdos, it's for tree huggers. It's for everybody, if you like. And everybody does it, right? Everybody's had moments of mindfulness. Moments of mindfulness is when you feel brilliant on holiday, when you're lying on the beach and just for 2 seconds you just go,
relaxed.
Wow, that's mindfulness.
Yeah.
So everybody wants it and everybody wants more of it. And it also translates into sport because, like I say, flow state is the optimal state for a sports person. And there's a famous clip of Jordan where he's playing and the commentators would describe him as almost unconscious. The basket seems like 50 feet wide, the ball's tiny, he can't miss. And at a certain point, he turns to the commentators who are at half court and he just shrugs.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And he just looks at them and just goes, I don't know. It's just easy, I don't know. That's perfect flow.
Yeah.
So perfect flow it doesn't mean that you could take someone who meditates and put them in the NBA just because they've got a quiet mind. They're going to be, you've got to do the practice, obviously. You've got to be a great player. But what separates a great player under pressure performing really well and a great player under pressure choking one of the things might be how quiet their mind is and how still they are in that high intensely pressure moment.
Yeah, it's pressure, isn't it? It's that I always used to think coming on as a sub-national league, you get the ball and there was so much more pressure on that shot.
Yeah.
As I'm shooting it, I'm thinking this has to go in or I'm
going
to get subbed off.
As soon as you said that sentence, as soon as I shoot it, I'm thinking. If you're thinking anything, unless you're thinking this is going in, that's a better thought.
Yeah.
But to be honest, no thought and just being in a flow state is optimal.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why, it's all mind games, isn't it? If someone's got big free throws, they'll try and delay it. Penalty shootouts in football, they'll try and delay it because they want people's thinking minds to come in. They want the voice in the head to come in and go, my God, there might be 10 million people watching this all around the world. It's a World Cup final. Holy crap, I've got scores. Nerves, legs go to jelly.
So with a flow state, there must be a start and an end because you wouldn't be in it perpetually.
Yeah.
And like anything in life, you can have too much of a good thing, so to speak. So would you, for say a basketball player, would you think they'd want to start that at the beginning of a game and end it at the end of a game, if it was as simple as that, so to speak? Or is it something that, and what, so they switch on and off? I'm just trying to understand. Is it a sort of a place that they get to, so they have to build up to it when they have this flow state?
I think most pro athletes will you probably wouldn't get to a world-class sporting level without being in flow state a lot. And whether or not they call it flow state doesn't matter. Whether or not they even call it mindfulness doesn't matter. Most people wouldn't call it that.
Like a boxer can be, you chat to them and they're absolutely fine, and then it's ring day. Then they go in the ring, and it's like kind of the shark. The eyes come over, visor down. Let's go.
Mm.
And then they're like, I don't care who that is. That's my opponent. And then bell goes at the end. They're out of it again.
Yeah.
And
And there's plenty of other things, right? I'm not saying that mindfulness is the be all and end all, because there's lots of, you could do sort of positive visualizations.
Yeah.
Where you imagine yourself already winning what you're about to do, seeing that, pointing your mind and body in that direction, so to speak, before it's even happened. You're more likely to succeed if you're in that state than if the 2 days before a big final you're thinking, holy cow, this is a big final. Are we going to win this? Are we good enough? You're already kind of shrinking into yourself, and whereas if you're able to positively visualize, we've got this, we've won it already. It's not about being overconfident and cocky. It's about being sure of your ability, not doubting yourself, and not having that voice in the head that tells you this is a big deal and you've got to do this.
But when you have the Kobe's and the Jordans, and it's the final shot, someone's inbounding, they're getting the shot off, they're not thinking, please give me the ball. They're like, I am getting the ball.
Oh yeah.
They're not thinking, oh, hopefully the ball's coming to me. They're at that level where the ball is going to them.
Well, the other thing those guys can both deal with, or, obviously Kobe's not alive anymore, but what he could deal with, and what Jordan's spoken about a lot, is he can deal with failure.
But they wanted that shot. They wanted that opportunity to take that last shot, because a lot of people are like, I'd love to be the hero. But when it comes down to it, if someone went, here's the ball, you got 1 second to make this shot and we win a championship or not, a lot of people would just go and crumble and get the old Reggie Miller sort of.
And how many shots has Jordan missed? I mean, there'll be stats on the web if you Google it.
Oh, tons. He's missed tons of shots, isn't he?
He's missed he's missed buzzer beaters. He's missed game-winning shots. He's missed.
It's a famous quote.
It's like 9,000. No one talks about the 9,000.
Exactly. Yeah. So to no one's. That's what sets a world-class athlete apart, is the mental resilience. Because you're right, a lot of people they're fine if they're hitting their shots and they're performing well. It's when they go through a sticky patch. Again, how much does that voice come in your head that's like, oh, I was a fraud all along. They found me out now. Maybe I'm not as good as I used to be. Maybe someone else is better than me now.
Or injury.
Yeah.
Because, we all see it with the players, and they come back and they're just not that player they were.
Yeah.
Mark, I think this could be a whole episode on this.
Oh, yeah, you could totally do a whole episode on that, 100%.
Sports psychology is fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Who? I mean, if you could throw the ball to any player in history and say that's my one shot, they've got to hit that buzzer beater. Who's it going to be? Who would it be for you?
Jordan, I think.
Is there anyone else that you ever throw the ball to? I think, honestly.
I mean, I'd give it to Larry Bird as well.
I was shocked you didn't say Larry Bird the first time. I know you love him.
Oh, you let Larry have a go.
Yeah.
Hang on, where if it's a layup, like, I'll do it.
Really?
Wow,
like,
that's
what?
bold.
Really? Your arm? Do you know what? Even in other sports, people listening to this might not follow snooker. Snooker was big when I was a kid, right? Snooker was big probably back in the 90s again. There used to be players like Steve Davis. It was big on TV. Yeah, I don't know if it's not really as big anymore. But anyway, there was one very famous final, right? When I was a kid, I said to my dad, "Can I stay up and watch it?" He's like, "No, you got to school tomorrow. Go to bed." And it came down. It was a Sunday night, and it came down to the last ball in the last frame, black ball to win it. And Steve Davis was playing an Irish player called Dennis Taylor. Steve Davis, brilliant player, arguably certainly one of the greatest ever. And I think Taylor was first, and he missed the black. Steve Davis comes up, and he pots that 100 times out of 100. I could pot it 8 times out of 10. I don't even play snooker that much. And he comes out and he misses it. And I think, I may have this wrong, but I think Dennis Taylor then comes back and misses it. Steve Davis comes back, misses it.
Oh, God.
Dennis Taylor comes back, pots it and wins. And years later, I've watched it last year, year before, they talked to Steve Davis about it, and they said, what happened? Because Steve Davis is famous for being so cool, right? This is a guy that would just have a sleep between sessions. Like, He's playing in a world final and there's millions of people watching on TV. You're just going to have a nap. But he said on that day, he said it was one of the few times that nerves got to him, and he said, I started thinking about the shot. So I'm walking up to the table, and he said, as soon as I started thinking, he said, I couldn't even feel my legs anymore. Because I knew there was like 10 million people watching this, 20 million people watching this, however many. It's a big deal. And he said, I was so nervous, I'm surprised I could even hold the cue and even just take the shot. But he said it was one of the few times in my career where I just started thinking. And he lost the game.
Wow.
And you're saying you could have potted that?
Not in those conditions.
8 out of 10.
Oh, hey, listen, you said
If
you'd
no
take
one's
the
watching,
layup.
if no one's watching in Southsea Snooker Club, I can hit it.
And if no one's defending me, is anyone defending me when I take that shot?
We're talking about like a championship winning game, the shot.
Yeah,
like the
I
shot.
thought it was just like an open layup you're talking about, yeah. But if it's in a game, yeah, I'd probably say Michael Jordan. I did think for a brief moment,
it could be a
Kobe
it could be a
Bryant.
layup. It could be a it could be a layup. It could be. It doesn't have to be a three, but it's who you giving the clutch shot
Yeah,
to.
I think most people are going to say Jordan. In the back, initially I thought Kobe, but Jordan's got to be, isn't it?
Pretty much. I think it's the benchmark, isn't it? There's very few players that.
I guess it depends on the
Is
shot,
he
though, isn't
all right,
it?
we're going to open this up now. We're going to ask every person who comes on, who's the greatest of all time?
Steve, who's your greatest of all time?
Head or heart?
Both.
Head, Jordan. Heart, Larry Bird.
Great answers.
There you go.
Great answers. Who's your top five? Who's your top five starting? Yeah, your starting five. Your ultimate starting five.
God, that's hard
This is it. This is the one to wrap up on. Nice basketball one.
to wrap up.
Wrap up with your top
Steve,
five.
are you going to put any Portsmouth FC basketball players in this top
Ooh.
5?
No. I'm going to probably... See, you go with the era you're familiar with. That's a problem with this, isn't it? A lot of people would say Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell in the middle. You could have Shaq in the middle or something.
I'd have Shaq in the middle all day. He's got to be the most dominant player has ever played, surely.
Well, people that watch Wilt or Bill Russell would say he was. But
I mean, look, they were great. Don't get me wrong, but if I'm running up a court and I've got
I'd probably take Shaq in the middle.
I've got Shaq.
Well, we got Shaq then. We obviously got Jordan. We've obviously got Larry. Who you got at guard? Magic?
This is your five, Steve. It's not our five.
I think I'm going Shaq, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Kobe, Magic.
There you go. Quite guard heavy.
Yeah.
Are you having a sixth man?
It is guard heavy, isn't it? Need another big man, really.
I mean, Larry used to be forward, small.
He's forward. He's 6'9", isn't he? I mean, Magic's 6'9". Shaq's 7 feet. What was Kobe? 6'6", wasn't he?
Yeah.
Not a small team, but they're not.
Yeah. What would your favourite Portsmouth player be?
Colin Irish.
I think most people are going to say Colin Irish or maybe Alan Cunningham, I guess.
Colin Irish for me. The threes, he was the kind of flamboyant player. He had a lot of personality. He was fun. He's the kind of player you'd happily pay to watch. Cunningham got a lot of noise because of was he an ex-Globetrotter or something at one point?
I thought he was.
I don't know, actually. Yeah, I
I'm
think
sure
he
I've heard them
was.
say the
Thought he was.
former Harlem Globetrotter, Alan. But Colin Irish was always that's why I wore 14 for the Fury.
Yeah, no, I remember. I always liked Steve Nelson.
Bambi.
And I remember going up to him to the hoop camp, and I had my basketball at the time, and he thought I was going to ask him to sign it, and I was like, Steve, he's like, yeah, can you just touch my basketball, please? And he was like, what? Do you want me to sign it? I went, no, just touch it. And he went, why do you want me to touch it? I went, well, I'm just like hoping if you touch it, I'll be able to play like you. And I remember it, he gave my ball a big cuddle and he goes, look, and he was like kind of like touching every part of the ball and he goes, look, I hope this magic comes off. And I'm like, cheers, thanks, Steve. But that made my day. Well, Steve, thanks for coming back on to
My
the
pleasure.
pod. And,
Yeah, fantastic.
maybe in the future we'll get Steve on again, especially we can talk about the whole psychology of basketball and sports science and mindfulness and stuff like
We
that.
need to do more than just a 3-way next time. And have a few more.
See if we get my brother on here. His
Get him
nickname is the Cat. See if we can get the Cat on here.
The cat would be awesome guest.
Yeah.
Do a duet, so to speak.
Yeah.
A tete-a-tete.
I mean, we'd have 2 of the 3 co-founders of the Fury.
Be interesting to hear how it's from where it's gone to where it's going.
I mean, Mark, I'm just thinking because Steve has taken his shot.
Yep.
Are you going to take a shot today?
I did earlier. You missed it.
Oh, live on the podcast.
Live on the
Steve said
podcast.
there's pressure.
Yeah.
So are you going to
I
take
think
your
you
shots?
commentate, Paul. I'm going to be ball boy, and we
Yeah.
can give him 3 shots.
Yeah, exactly the
Give
same.
me
The line.
3.
Give me
Okay.
Put
I'll
the
go on the
line.
line.
All right.
Give me 3.
Let's go.
Right, hang on. I think it's this one.
This could go badly.
So here we go. And now, taking his shot on the Portsmouth Basketball Podcast is Mark Chester. So Mark is lining up 20 feet away from this basket. He has taken this shot. He's taken his time. He's doing a couple of dribbles here. Like, folks, I can't underestimate how much of an air ball that shot was. Oh, he's rushed the second. It's short. It's really short by an arm's length. And that's the 3rd air ball. I mean, the Stevie Ware bonus shot, you airballed it. I mean, you've just insulted Steve live on a podcast.
Listen, why don't you get up and do it?
Well, we'll do it on another show, Mark.
Yeah.
We'll do it on another show
You
when
took
we're
15 attempts
when we
at
haven't
it.
got a guest. I mean, time and
Throw
stuff
up more
like that.
bricks than flipping Bovis, mate.
I mean, what I will do, I apologise for not doing it last time. So this time we can end the show officially with the song that me and Mark made for Steve. I mean, how many years did we do this, Mark? 20 odd years ago?
I had hair.
Wow. I mean, I want to say 20 odd years ago. How do I get my phone on the device?
Well, you don't have to. You can just do it this way instead.
Here is the Stevie Ware song. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you all for listening.
We got Steve Ware. 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 Bird drives, passes off the cat back to the drives and home. Oh my word, that poetry motion. Cat drives out to Ware. 3. Oh my god, that's why they call it Larry seconds. Halfway line shot. Buzzer beater. Oh my